Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today we have my good friend Kent Stewart. He's the CEO with Reli title, but he's more recently known as the guy who survived the avalanche at Mount Everest and is here to tell us about that experience along with what efforts are being made to help those people in Nepal. Kent, you're lucky to be sitting here.
Very lucky. Good to be here,
You
Tommy.
feel some grace going on this Sunday?
I certainly do.
Oh, man, I can't imagine. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I know you're an avid sports enthusiast because we golfed together for a while, but
Right.
You ran out of time to golf because you dedicated a lot of your time to trying to climb, quote, the 7 summits. So tell us how that came about, and I know you've made 2 runs at Everest,
Right.
and for whatever reason, he's going back a 3rd time. Tell us about the 7 summits. I don't even know what 7 summits there are. I
Okay.
thought it was out on 280.
Yeah, well, the 7 summits, that's the highest mountain on all 7 continents.
Ah,
And my wife and I climbed Kilimanjaro back in 2006, and that's one of the 7. It's the easiest of the 7.
okay.
And, you know, that was supposed to
Is
be
that something I could do?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, you could do it.
But
No problem.
Kilimanjaro.
Oh, yeah.
Where's that?
It's in Tanzania.
Ah, who could forget?
Yeah. So
I didn't do so well in geography.
So that was we didn't plan on doing another one, but after we got home and started looking at the pictures and remembered what a cool experience it was, we decided to try another one, and we went to Russia and climbed Mount Elbrus, which is the highest mountain in Europe. And then we got on this treadmill after that of seeing how many we could climb together. And so we went to Australia and Antarctica and South America.
Wow.
And managed to climb those, and then up to Denali in Alaska, where Julie kind of met her match up there, and I went back the next year and climbed it. So Everest is the only one left, and so, you know, I've come this far, and it's hard to stop, you know, when you've only got one more to go.
So tell us about the first trip up Everest.
I was on Everest in 2013, and I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready. And you know, there's an old expression, there's being in shape and being in Everest shape, and they're really 2 different things.
Well, I can imagine.
And you don't really understand it until you're there, you know, what a mental and physical grind it is, because it's a long time to be away. It's an 8-week climb. And
Wow.
I just wasn't ready physically, and got sick on the mountain and had to come home.
And what types of, how do you train for an experience like that?
Well, I learned my lesson on that trip, and I've hired a trainer in Seattle that's used to working with mountain climbers, and we really upped the workout schedule. I was going, you know, 3 to 5 hours a day.
Doing what?
A lot of endurance training, stair machine, out at Oak Mountain, climbing the steepest trail out there with a backpack on, and then weight training too, and core training. Just a combination of a lot of things, but primarily a lot of time on stair machine or on a hike.
So is most of the training cardio?
It's cardio, but it's working just under your aerobic threshold.
Which means?
Which is
Right before you pass out?
right before you pass out, right. No, right before
Is that
you,
like, how do you know where the edge is unless you go over the edge at least once? Is that,
Exactly. Exactly.
well, do you work out till you pass out and then you know you've gone too far?
No, I try to, my target heart rate for me, I figured out was 142. So I wear a heart monitor, and I try to keep my heart at 141, 140 as long as I can possibly go. And because if you get over that, you're only going to be good for about 30 more minutes. So, you know, all of us, when we reach that threshold, we can't go very long.
Well, I would assume it's difficult to mimic the conditions at Everest in Alabama, for example.
Yeah, it's a big disadvantage living here. My friends that live in Colorado obviously have a big advantage climbing those mountains for practice. But I do get out there as often as I can.
Colorado.
I went to Ecuador once because there's a mountain down there that's 19,000 feet that's, you can climb in a couple days. So I tried to get out as much as I could, but with work and family and everything, that was difficult.
That's fascinating. We want to talk specifically about your experience just recently, but what happened on the first one? How long did you make it on your first
I was there
venture?
36 days and made it to Camp 2. And
how many camps are there?
There's 4. And I had some really good days and really bad days. And
when you say a bad day, what happens?
Describe
for us what those conditions are like up there.
It's your body just shuts down. I mean, it's hard to describe, but I've never experienced it before, but I describe it like your brain is telling your legs to move faster, but they just physically won't go. And it's a scary feeling, when that happens, because if it happens to you really high on the mountain, that's when you don't come down. And fortunately for me, it hit me between camps 1 and 2. And I made it to Camp 2, but it took me a long time, way longer than it should have to get there. And that's when I realized that it was just too dangerous to continue.
Well, are you working or walking with other people? I mean, do they wait on you? How does that work?
Well, your team, you're with loosely with a team, but when you're on Everest, you're pretty much climbing with a Sherpa guide, and it's just the 2 of you, because everyone goes.
You get very close with this person.
You get very close with the Sherpas. I mean, your life is literally in their hands, and so.
And they live there and do this all the time?
Right.
So their bodies have acclimated to it?
Yes. And they are incredibly strong. Yeah. Very strong, very fit, and altitude doesn't bother them. So they're good.
I would think the altitude would be one of the biggest things to adjust.
Yes, no doubt.
So after getting, how do they get you back down?
Well, I made it back down under my own power, back down to base camp, and from there I took a helicopter back to Kathmandu.
That's the way I'd like to do it. Is that sort of sissy to kind of go up on a? I would like to do Everest on a helicopter. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Kent Stewart. Fascinating story.